mindsets about business, and many things she has contributed in a very short span of time. Now, it's my duty to invite our next contributor, Malfone Abud Zito. Right, I pronounced it right. So let me welcome, at the same time let me introduce, he's a compliance manager for the Deutsche Bahn since 2011, and his background is business administration, if I'm correct. And then he was into auditing, and then also into risk management. And at the same time, he's a proud personality for Suryoye Orthodox Church, because he is also dealing with the original folk Suryoye music, and he has compiled 3 books. I'm not well aware about his books, but I'm easily getting connected with them, so I would be very happy to welcome Malfone Abud Zito.
It's a pleasure for me to stand here in front of you. It's the first lecture of this kind to give to my people about my business. Normally I give my lectures about our music, about our heritage. But however, maybe you get interested after this performance for a second lecture. So, as I was asked to talk about integrity, well, integrity is part of my daily business. I will tell you one situation I had in 1993. I visited the first time Syria then. We stand in front of the entry in the airport, and the border officer controlled the passes, and he saw me. I look typical Syrian, right? So he called me behind his desk and he said, "Ta'muna shway." Yeah? Feed us. So I never thought at that time that one day I will be fighting this behavior to be anti-corruption manager or compliance manager. Yeah? So now as a compliance manager I'm responsible for 15 different companies within our group in different countries. So this issue is a main issue we have. So talking about integrity, you read this word in the former presentation of Dr. Theodora. There are many issues connecting with integrity. I started first to search in our language. What means integrity? Integrity. I found something. Integrity in Payne Smith, Tamimutho, or Gmirutho. Maybe there are more words. Our language is very rich, by the way. So maybe there are several words for the same word. Well, at the same time, after hearing integrity, you always think about religion. So this is, in my opinion, is if you are a good Christian, you are an integer person. So I checked the Bible, Holy Bible, for the word integrity or something similar. I found these 3. I don't get deeper in that because due to time. But there, for sure, you will find some words about integrity, how you can be a good Christian with, for example, like this, yes? So the man of integrity walks securely. So this, just an introduction for this issue. Back to the hard reality of business, of daily business we have. If you check the media nowadays, you will find daily in the news corruptions. Diesel scandal in Germany, it's very current now in the media. What I would say in this chart is that even presidents, like our former president, is not aware against are not aware of punishment in case of misconduct. Yes? Or the other sample is here. Bilfinger. The CEO of Bilfinger was at that time Mr. Koch, the former Prime Minister of Hessen. And now you can read in the media that Bilfinger is suing him for 100 million because he didn't implement an effective compliance system in his time, as in control system. So that means, that's why I'm thankful for such headlines, because this secured my job at the end. Or the Siemens issue. The Siemens, after the Siemens scandal in the US, Siemens developed a new compliance organization with over 300 employees only for compliance. Well, talking about integrity, at the end, integrity is, for each one of us, is an ethical compass we have. So it's something where we say, this is good what I do. It's not against any ethical standards. Well, as a definition, you can say in this chart, at the end integrity is to be honest, to have strong moral values, and now daily business try to manage integrity, to make sure that the company and the employees have good values which they fulfill in their daily business. Well, next message from Mr. Buffett. Of course, if there is missing integrity in the daily business, this factor is very crucial, because at the end, a lack of integrity leads to damages. Damages in the company, and of course the reputation of the company, and at the end also monetary damages in front of courts. Just in case of corruption, you can see in this chart some cases of the last years, the amount of fines. As you see here, Siemens, 800 million US dollar, and so on. So it's a crucial sum. And it's of course not only corruption in this case. Antitrust is also a compliance issue, and also a case of integrity at the end. And that's one of the reasons why you see in many companies nowadays that they established compliance organizations. So before 15 years or 20 years, you could display your bribings or facilitation payments in Germany as normal costs of your business. So this changed these days. This changes this. It's of course forbidden now to make any bribery and to demand bribery and so on. And so you see many companies start to have their own compliance organizations. Code of conduct, you read very often code of conduct, that companies start to formulate their values starting from the board of the company, which they demand the fulfillment of these values from each person in the company. And, well, Moran Command is not here, but however, this is his picture. It was for him, but saying that maybe can you transfer this message to. While preparing this presentation, I searched, I thought, we have His Holiness here, let's start searching, thanks to Google by the way. Let's type church and compliance, what happens. Yeah? And I wondered that I found that it's maybe it's an American procedure, that they have, this all American church, that even churches have code of ethics or code of conduct for church leaders. It was something new for me. Even a book is there on the market where external auditors can make audits for in church finances. Of course, it would be very good for our community to do that also, to have transparency in this case too, but this is another issue. Coming back to the integrity, how to manage that. We're speaking here about compliance management systems. The approach is here to implement a system to minimize risks. Risks dealing with the lack of integrity, and of course integrity in connection with misconduct against any laws. This is a short description of that, and on this basis there is nowadays a model, a standard you can say, for compliance management systems. This standard we have in most German companies. It's a model, it's an approach of the external auditors. It's a standard, and in each box you see here there are different measures. I will not get deeper here. If you have questions, I can later answer them. But this is my daily business, that we try to have measures in all these topics. So, and at the end, why do we need that? We need that as systematic approach, as protective function to prevent that something happen, and if something happens, that we have our documentation, our transparency. I can give you a sample from the bank, a British bank. One employee was involved in a bribery transaction in China, I think. The bank didn't get any punishment because the bank could display that they teach this employee every year and trained him, don't do that, and he did that. At the end, the company as whole was safe and only the employee was punished. So, and if companies say we don't need any compliance, it's too expensive, so I let you with this statement, try non-compliance, and especially if you are connected with the US, then maybe you have some billions by side you can pay them. Yeah? So thank you for this part. Just let me only come back to our culture. It's not an advert, by the way, colleagues. It's just the information that I am working now on a project which also, maybe I need your help. I'm preparing 2 books about my friend Angfei. If you heard about him, if you have material about him, please let me know. I'm searching about his material. We are trying to translate his writings. He is the father of our national movement. By the way, he used all names we have, all names. He was not only Assyrian, Aramaic, Syriac. He used all names in his wordings, in his articles. So I tried to give the first touch after 18 years about his life. So now I'm finished. Dr. Sergeant Marco. I feel a big joy knowing you yesterday, Anish.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, before going to the panel discussion, I would like to say one sentence which caught my mind about Socrates. The greatest way to live with honor in this world is to be what we pretend to be. And at this point, when we are saying about integrity or Christian values in business, we are who we say we are. If we can try to bring out this concept in a kind of business, I would say we can be a Christian. So, for the panel discussion, at the same time, I would like to pose a question in general. We are talking about integrity, values of business. Specifically, we could also say Christian values in business. How can we show a commitment towards our people through the concept of business. I know there are a lot of values or a lot of points that could be discussed, but when we are saying, when we Suryoye, when we Syriac Orthodox Church or believers and faithful come together and think about strong values of business, how is it possible when we say about showing commitment towards our own people?
So, it's for me to question.
Yeah, please, why not?
Talking about the companies in general, because we're talking about business. In business, we have the code of conduct as a main document for such a commitment. It's very important that the board of a company gives such a commitment that it says we are against, for example, corruption. We accept human rights. We accept environmental rights. All this is written in these code of conducts. By the way, meanwhile, I can talk about my company. We made the decision to make this commitment as part of the labor contracts of each employee. That at least the employee knows about these values and accept them.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Please.
I have a question, but maybe you have also questions. So, no one? Hello?
I can hear you.
Yesterday, it's just a question. Yesterday, Moran told us something about the combination of doing business and religion, and it was very interesting because he said that it's not a contradiction to do business, to be successful, and at the same time to be Christian. So what's your opinion on this topic, business and religion and belief?
I would say a kind of experience, or what I tried to do recently before coming over here. I'm working on a school project, so one of my staff, a female staff, I was told that she's pregnant, and her class assigned is on the first floor. So what I did... Sorry? Okay, so what I did was that I tried to put her in the ground floor, respecting her situation as a mother or future mother, and giving her the best suitable atmosphere to work with due respect. Why I said this, because in our business life, when I was recently talking about this business conference, the first question came to me was, is there ethics in business? And I would say, yes, there is ethics in business in our life. Because you cannot say that morning to evening you are a businessman and evening you are a family man or a Christian man. I would say, as our Syriac Orthodox tradition, we say liturgy after liturgy. Every day we are living liturgy. At the work, at the personal life, everything, it's liturgy after liturgy.
I will just add one point. For sure, I agree with you. Partly, yes. If you be a good Christian, you are a good businessman. But at the end, nowadays, prosecutors want to monitor such behavior. So if you start to monitor, so you have to make everything transparent. You have to document that. And this is the connection to the compliance systems we have, that you have to be transparent, you have written evidence that you, even if you have really good employees, you have to ensure that you have documentation, that you ensure that integrity is part of your company culture.
Let's ask Dr. Theodora Isa about this point. Hello? No. It's not audio. At the same time, may I request that your mic is not also mute from Australia? Okay.
لو بوليس طلبوا لي رشوة
هذا بون؟
بوليس طلبوا لي منه رشوة
ايه
نمر له خلو خلو
في بحكي له تشريعات الغرب اليوم بعد نحن صعيد هوا نعمي مجبور كوبت
بس نمر له خذوا له
ايه لا
ما عرف شو معنى
تقول لنا زمان بحكي له حريته ولا بالضبط. Maybe I can talk so long. Yes, I want to thank you, dear Sami, dear Sharbil, Kamo Suryoye, for such meeting. I'm very happy to be part of it. It's a great step. I enjoyed yesterday, and I hope that today is the same like yesterday. Thank you very much for this step. Thank you.